Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your host Rashid, and as you can see, I'm looking rough. I just got in, and I'm trying to update you on a few things that is going on across the globe, and especially when it's concerning America, which is the country that I live in, and when it's concerning just the population of the planet Earth, because so many things are going on right now that can lead to all-out thermonuclear war. Now, before we get into it, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining me on this platform. Hey, please, if you are a channel member, please, if you can, subscribe to my Patreon. Go to patreon.com/the Red Pill Diaries. Also, if you can, please subscribe to all of the other platforms on Twitch, on Twitter, on Odyssey, on Rumble, and on Locals. I would really appreciate that. That's what got me thumping. And I want everybody to know we got a slamming week coming up. I'm recording this at night, which is Sunday night, February the 4th. Right now, we have a slamming upcoming week. We have on Monday at 11 a.m. Central Time, we have Larry Johnson from the CIA. Tuesday morning, we have Tuesday evening, we have Matthew Everett, right? And Tuesday morning, I'll be guest co-hosting the Real Truth Talk show, and we'll be having guests on there. Thursday, I'll have Dimitri Lascaris on the show. Thursday evening, I'll have Carl Zaw back on the show. So, I mean, we're slamming it. We're trying to get you all of this information. And I could have put it up for just the channel members, or I could have put it up for the patrons. But at first, I just wanted to advise you, the reason I'm allowing a lot of the content to be free is to build up the subscriber base, because YouTube continues to unsubscribe people from my base. But you guys will be getting extra stuff coming up. I'm working hard. Believe me, I am. Now, on to the next. Thank you again for joining me. There's so many things going on, so let's address a few things. First of all, America is under tremendous strain economically, politically, and culturally. All right? Let's be clear about that. The Western world is under tremendous strain economically, politically, and culturally. Right? So when we're looking at their movements, when we're looking at their policies, we have to bring all of those things in as a factor of the unstable, unsound, insane policies that they continue to push forward. Now, just a few days ago, America was making it clear. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull this up right now while I'm talking to you all. Okay. Hold on one second. I'm pulling it up right now. Give me a second right here. All right. Now, just a few days ago, America was talking about how they did not want to escalate the war. All right. They just kept saying that. We don't want escalation. We'll strike, but we don't want escalation. All right. And then they escalate. So I want you to pay close attention to what I'm saying. Okay. All right. When they are saying that they don't want to do a certain thing, they are already put in preparation or have made preparation to do that thing which they said they don't want to do. They don't want to ship Abrams tanks, armored vehicles, HIMARS, air defense systems, advisors, boots on the ground to Ukraine. All the while they were saying that they had already done those things in stages. They said that they wanted peace in Palestine, and yet continues to arm Israel and give her political cover. They said they believe in sovereignty, yet they undermine Syrian sovereignty, Libya sovereignty, all the African nations' sovereignty, Latin American nations' sovereignty, Asian nations' sovereignty. They are even undermining the sovereignty of their so-called NATO and European allies. That is something to think about. All right? So, when they were screaming about not wanting escalation, I kept telling you guys that look, you're not going to get past this. America is going to go to war with Iran. That is a fact. This has been in the making, not for the last 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. This has been in the making since the overthrow of the U.S.-backed Shah. America didn't like that and has never let that go. And they have been war gaming scenarios and plotting and planning and strategizing and putting different pieces into play that led up to the day. This is not just out of the blue somewhere. This is something that was in motion. So what we're seeing, and I know the lighting is a little darker. I wanted it that way because it's nighttime, and I wanted it that way a little bit. So please just deal with the message. They've been moving towards this for the longest. After saying that they don't want war, right? Because they've said that multiple times. Then we get an article that comes out today on Sputnik News. It is U.S. prepared for war with Iran, will take more action, says officials, as U.S. strikes kill 40. So they say. So listen to this. I just started reading this right before we started this right here. So give me a second. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said recent retaliatory strikes are just the beginning, claiming the United States is prepared for the contingency of increased tensions with Iran. Now stop right there. They have been striking Yemen already illegally. They've been striking in Syria already illegally. They have been striking in Iraq illegally. All right. And Lebanon illegally. They've been striking all across North Africa in the realm of the West Asian, North African area, right? How is there not wanting escalation? If I were to come to either two of you, I'm saying this one listener who is a man and his son, right? One viewer who is a man and then his son. And I were to come and smack your child, right? And say, I'm not trying to escalate our argument, but I want to slap your child. And I slapped your child and I say, oh, I'm not trying to escalate with you, John Doe. But this is just the beginning. I'm gonna slap your child at least 10 times a day, and I'm gonna do it until I see fit to stop. And I don't want war with you. But if you try to defend your son against my aggression because I'm in your neighborhood on your lawn, just stepped on your porch, and if you intervene, then it allows me now to justify me to retaliate against you, even though I'm not in my neighborhood, I'm not in my yard, I'm not on my porch, I'm not in my house, I'm in your neighborhood, your city, your neighborhood, on your block, in your yard, stepping up on your porch, on your home. How is that not asking for escalation? How? How can you justify that or make sense and say this is not escalation? That is detaching yourself from reality. Bizarro world politics. That's what I call this. Bizarro world politics. Okay? So it goes on and says this. This was the beginning of our response. There will be more steps. Okay. So if you say that there was a drone strike, right? And you don't want escalation, but you're going to retaliate. And you're retaliating every day, right? And then you openly boast and say, this is just the beginning of our response. There will be more steps. Is that not escalation? Is that not escalation? Because if what I would take is not escalation, is if you slap me and I slap you back, and both of us are satisfied that both of us got our get back. But if you slap me and I continue to slap you, and then I go from slapping you to punching you, and then to kicking you, and then shooting on you. When I say shooting, I mean taking you to the ground, and then I mount you, right? And then after I mount you, I put you in a choke or something. And from that choke, I choke you out. And then I start kicking you. And I say, well, I'm not escalating. This is tantamount to what America is talking about, what the UK is talking about. This is insanity. And all while they're doing this, there's a crisis at home. with growing poverty, unemployment. There's a growing cultural gap, growing racial gap. And the economic situation, it has become untenable for both nations, the UK and the US. But before we address the economic side of this, let's go a little bit further. Some of those steps will be seen. Some may not be seen, he added. Well, let's go back a little bit further and let's reread what I just read to you. This was the beginning of our response. There will be more steps, said U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan during an appearance on U.S. television Sunday, claiming the United States was prepared for increased tensions with Iran. Some of those steps will be seen. Some may not be seen, he added cryptically. But there will be more action taken to respond to the tragic death of 3 brave U.S. service members. Now, before we go further, my heart and sympathies go out to those service members and their families for the loss of life, okay? But now one needs to ask, why were they over there? And what were they doing over there? Why do you have a sprawling military base in a nation that you have not even asked permission to go into? And can we say that, say for instance, Iran struck, let's just give America all of her props and say, okay, you're right, your intelligence points towards Iran striking that military base. All right. Does not Iran have a defense pact with Syria? I'm asking these things. Nobody does. And if Iran has a defense pact with Syria, and that defense pact says that if I'm in trouble or someone attacks me, you will take that as an attack on you and you will enter the fray. Okay. Okay. So if that is the case, then we've known that they've had a defense pact since before America flooded the Middle East with ISIS. We've known that. Right. So if they've had a defense pact that long, and the United States disregarded Syrian airspace and Syria's territorial integrity and the wishes of the Syrian people and the wishes of the legitimate Syrian government and the wishes of the armed forces of the Syrian Arab Republic. And the United States occupies 1/3 of Syria and some border posts with Syria and is fleecing the Syrian nation of corn, wheat, oil, gas, and other essential things to stop the Syrian state from being able to fund the rebuilding process from the war that was instigated by the U.S. and the UK. Didn't Syria have the right, or didn't Iran have the right to strike the base? Because what if Iran set up a base in France? Or what, better yet, what if Iran said that we have credible evidence that ISIS is reconstituting itself in Ireland, right? Or in Scotland, just say in Scotland. Let's just give this in for my Scottish audience. I'm just saying this just for an example, so don't get mad at me. I'm just using this as an example, okay? We have credible evidence that ISIS is reconstituting itself and they are preparing for a massive missile strike against Iran. And then Iran sends its naval fleet into Ireland, or Scotland, excuse me, and starts occupying Scottish waters and part of Scotland. What would be the response of the UK? And what would be the response of the United States? And better yet, what would be the response of NATO? And if the response would be a political, economic, and military response, why doesn't the victim of American occupation have that same right? I'm asking. Why don't they have that same right? Why does America, the UK, and NATO have the right to respond, or the right to do this and the right to do that? And just like when Joe Biden was talking about, or not Joe Biden, excuse me, just like when War Secretary Lloyd was talking about, well, we don't know for sure if Iran was involved, but we do know that Iran is supplying weapons to the militias that attacked us. And so this could be taken just as if Iran attacked us, right? Well, why don't you use that rationale in Ukraine? Why are you doing it to Russia? Can't Russia use the same rationale? You can't beat Russia militarily. You've shown you can't beat it economically. And you're losing the political battle also. So Russia has the economic, the political, and the military clout to rebuff you, right? So if Russia took that same thinking, Russia would have the legitimacy to not only strike nations that are supplying weapons to Ukraine and their arming and advising that are in Europe, but Russia has the right to strike American territory. If we take what America's view of things is, right? Common sense. It's not so common in today's world, especially when you're dealing with the empire, okay? So it goes further and says this. The United States has launched a massive wave of strikes in recent days to avenge the killing of 3 U.S. troops near the Syrian-Jordan border last week. The country has blamed Iran for the attacks, claiming they were launched by militants funded by Iran. Iran has denied the responsibility. Now stop right there. Two things in this ending paragraph that I don't like. First of all, let's go to the last part. Iran has denied responsibility. Why? Everybody knows that you fund, those militias, you might not control them, but you do help them financially sometimes, and you give them weapons. Why are you hiding your hand when America is so out in the open with her doings in Ukraine and funding the Kurds to destabilize Iraq, Syria, and Iran? Why must you deny what America is openly stating? Why must you deny what the UK is openly stating? We are funding and we are helping these people to fight Iran. This is what they're saying. Just like they openly stated that they're helping Ukraine fight Russia. Why must, when it comes to you and your allies, you get on the defensive and be like, oh no, I'm not supplying them with weapons? I would say, hell yeah, I'm supplying them with weapons. And I'm going to supply them with more weapons. And I'm going to help fund them. You stole my money out the bank by sanctioning my money and wouldn't give it back to me. You haven't even paid me the interest on the money that you stole from me. And you continue to send in saboteurs to try to destroy industry and military progression and scientific growth. Hell yeah, I'm funding them and I'm giving them weapons. And guess what? You see how you escalated in Ukraine? I have escalatory dominance in West Asia or the Middle East. So guess what? The more you deploy, the more I'm going to give them. The more advanced weapons you bring over there, the more advanced weapons I'm going to give them to defend themselves. Why do you have the exclusive prerogative to arm your so-called allies and friends? Why do you have the exclusive prerogative to do what you're doing? What's good for the goose got to be good for the gander. Until Iran stands up and realizes that it has cojones and start using its testicular fortitude, the empire is going to put pressure and pressure and pressure and pressure on Iran. Pressure. And Iran has to understand this. She has to understand this. I know that you have to walk a fine line and you have to be very careful. But you also cannot let the bully think that they can bully you. You have to be very open and direct with them. These are the consequences of this move. This will be the consequence of that move. And if you do this, this, and this will follow here. If you do that over here, this will follow over here. Guess what? When you talk to a man as a man, or if you talk to a woman as a woman, and you're straightforward with them, there can be no confusion or misunderstanding of meanings or shades of purposes or whatever. There will be golden understanding. So if you so chose to step past those red lines of mine, then also know that there will be a price to pay that I already warned you about. See, I don't understand why these nations do that. They allow America to go around. They allow the UK to openly laugh about sabotaging this and giving intelligence on bombing this ship and do it. And they sit there. That's not what a man would do. That's not what a man would do. If you bring in trouble to me, in all of my heart, I don't want violence. I don't want trouble. I don't want fight. I want us to be able to converse with each other. But if acting civil is not pushing you back off of me and not stopping you from threatening the security and the lives of me and my family and my nation, then I'm going to have to get uncivilized with you, just like you're uncivilized with me. Well, America could beat Iran. America could bomb Iran. Hell, it's better to die on your feet than live on your knees. You understand? Because the example that you would show to, what if Iran confronted America? And just say for the worst situation that the military component was added and Iran was to lose. But guess what? She would sacrifice herself for the benefit of the freedom of the world, because the economic toll on America would break her. The military toll on America would force her at best to be in a regional power or formal and rapidly declining global power. Right? And it would stop her and it would not allow her or enable her to continue this expansion across the globe. Anything worth having is worth sacrificing. Anything. When stuff comes too easy, it's not worth it. And when you get down to the nitty gritty and you go through it and you finally come up with success, or you say, man, you enjoy it so much more because everybody was down you and everything was against you, and by the grace of God, you were able to tap the God in you and bring about your desires. Sometimes sacrifice is necessary. You understand me? Because America knows no halt. She'll pause for a second only to get her footing together and then go back at you triple, quadruply as hard as she did before. Let's go further. Okay? It says, I got to address that first part too. I forgot. Let me go back to this part. It says, the country has blamed Iran for attacks, claiming they were launched by militants funded by Iran. Well, just like I said, why will Iran deny it? First of all, acknowledging it will get you more sympathizers around the world. Acknowledging it will make people think that, hey, maybe I should cast my lot with that person. At least they're coming forward and telling the empire, yeah, we're doing it. You do it, so we're doing it. Because sometimes people are looking at the actions of other people, or looking at the actions of leaders, and they want to side with those leaders, and they feel that those leaders have the potential to actually lead towards a global revolution. But if they continue to deny their destiny, then guess what happens? Somebody else is brought into the being. They step up to the plate. And so Iran continues to deny what everybody knows it's doing, helping to arm the Houthis, helping to arm the militias, right? So what? America is arming everybody in NATO. America is arming Saudi Arabia. America has armed the Emirates, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, the Philippines. America is the largest exporter of weapons and arms on the face of planet Earth. So how can she cause me to be ashamed for aiding people who need some type of defense against her wicked and brutal military machine that she uses against everybody? I'm asking this stuff. You're telling me that I can't give my cousin, now my cousin lives 2 states over. You in